Okay, good morning, 8th graders. I hope you're doing well on this Friday morning. So today is review. This is 10.9, and we're going to do a part 2, so that way you can make sure that you really understand this lesson. I think everybody will do fine, but this is just in case you struggled a little bit on the last one. So we're talking about probability, and one of the key things that we need to know about probability is the words that they use, okay? When they use the word and, okay, like they say probability of A and B, and let's say that the probability of A was 1 out of 6, like you roll a dice, and the probability of B was another number on the dice, and you roll another one, and so again it would be 1 out of 6. All we do when it says the word and, what you can think of, is multiply. So we'd have 1 over 6 times 1 over 6, which would be 1 over 36. Okay, that's what the word and means. So if you want to simplify that, if you need to pause it and write, go for it. But if you want to simplify that in your mind, you can think the word and means multiply. Okay, whatever you get, you got to multiply. Now that may be a little confusing because what we did in a few lessons ago was this right here. It was the probability of A or B. Okay, now let's say that the probability in this case, and it was the same thing, is 1 out of 6. Or B, and again is 1/6. This time, the word or always means addition. So we're just going to add the two probabilities, 1 over 6 plus 1 over 6, and that equals 2 over 6. Remember, we don't multiply the base, we keep it the same, the 6 stays. The 1 plus 1 is 2, and that reduced is 1/3. Okay? So I just want to say that at the outset. Or is add, and is multiply. And equals times or equals plus. Okay, so just keep that in your mind when you do the homework for today. That'll be a great place to start. So let's look at a spinner here from one of our other lessons. I probably inserted this picture for our last one, but I'm going to do it again just for some review. So this video should not take as long because it is mostly review. So if I said, what is the probability that we get purple, think about this, purple or a 2. Okay, what's the or mean? Or is addition. So I'm going to be adding. So if I have the probability of purple, what is the probability of purple? There is only one that is purple, so that's 1 out of, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the probability is 1 out of 8. That's purple. So now I add it to the probability of getting a 2. What is the probability of getting a 2? Well, there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I know it's 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this time, I am going to add them because the word was or. And 1 plus 3 is 4 over 8, which is 1/2. Okay, or if you do it in decimal form, 0.5. It's both of those, 0.5 or 1/2. That's for the word or. Now I'm going to do the exact same problem and show you why we have to be careful of or and. Okay, so then if we insert here, I'm going to insert my picture again. This time, what if I say, what is the probability? Okay, so it's going to look the same. This time it's the probability of purple. Okay, this time we're going to say it's purple and a 1. Okay, purple and a 1. Okay, so on this case, this one's a little bit of an example that probably wouldn't work, but it's going to be the same concept. Okay, so the probability of purple, again, is 1. So it's 1 over 8. Okay, and then times 1 here, we got 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 over 8. We multiply, that's going to be 3 over 64. Do you see that we just multiplied across? And when we type that in on the calculator, 3 over 64 is 0.046. Okay, that's a very low number, okay, of the probability that's going to be purple and a 1. Okay, now obviously this example is a little bit different because normally it'd be two things. It'd be the probability of purple on this graph and a probability of a number on a separate graph. So that's okay if that kind of threw you off. That's fine. The goal that I was trying to show here is that it's the word and it's still the ratio, okay? Still the ratio, and it's a multiplication. So let me show you one here that should actually work a little better for illustrating that. Let me get a different picture up here. This one, here we go. So this graph right here is a little bit better to show that, right? What is the probability if I do the probability of, on the first one, we're going to say blue on this first chart, and then we're going to say that it is, and that it's going to be an odd number on the second chart. Okay, so the probability of blue on the first chart is 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3, right? 1 blue out of 3 options. The probability of the second one is going to be multiplied because of and. The probability of the second one of odd is 1 and 3, so that's 2 out of 4. That's right, 2 out of 4. Now I just multiply across, and I get 2 out of 12, which when I divide 2 by 12, I get 0.1667. Okay, so I could leave it as 2 over 12. Actually, you want to reduce it to 1 out of 6, which is the same thing as 0.166. So the key is to look at the word and, then you multiply, and the word or equals adding. Okay, so let's look at one of the ones that will be on your homework, and that is this one right here. Okay, this example is in your homework. This is number 31. So this will be covered in the homework. Now, what they say on this, and this is the key part, is that the tiles will not be replaced. So they'll draw for the first one, and let's say they took the D, it would go away. So that would reduce this total, right? There's 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It would reduce it to 7 when you draw one. Okay, so I'm going to erase that so it doesn't throw us off. Okay, so let's say that they want to know the probability that you would get A and F. Okay, so the probability of A is this one. That's 1 out of how many? 8. So the probability of A is 1 out of 8. You guys can definitely solve that. The word and becomes multiplication F. Now think about this. If we drew the A away, the probability of getting F is going to be 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 7 that time. It's a higher likelihood. So now I multiply across, and I get 1 over 8 times 1 over 7, which is 1 over 56. Okay, 1 over 56 is not a very high number. It's 0.018 roughly. Okay, that would be my answer. Does everybody see how the multiplication came from the word and? Multiplication came from that and, okay? So I could do something a little more complex. Oops, I don't want to clear that. I can do something a little more complex, and then I'll finish the... It's still true down here, not replaced. I'm just going to erase it so it's not distracting. Now, let's try a different probability. This time, okay, we're going to do the probability of... And then we're going to have little brackets. This is like your homework. We're going to have A or B, okay? And the probability then of drawing C or D, okay? So now I got many steps here to follow to get this thing right. Okay, so the first one, let's do this together. I have the probability of A. What is the probability that I draw A? Well, that is 1 over 8. Okay, we already did that. 1 over 8. Now, what's the word or mean? That's an addition sign. Remember, or B. Now, think about it. If I draw A first, then what I'm left with is there's only 7 total. Right? There's only 7 total to draw from at that point. So, now that I am down to 7, or sorry, I don't remove, when I do or, let me make this clear. When I do or and I do adding, I'm going to say that it's one or the other, A or B. So I'm not removing one in that case. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So if I choose, like let's say it was A or B, either one is going to count. Okay, so that's A plus B. The and comes down here to a multiplication sign. Now I do the probability of C. Now this time I do have to account for the fact that I've already subtracted A or B. So it's going to be 1 out of 7. Okay, and the or again is plus What's the d going to be? It's also going to be 1 over 7. Okay, so now I have to do all my adding. So I add this guy right here first, and that's 2 out of 8. Now I have the times sign comes down, and then I add these guys, and I get 2 out of 7. Total, now I multiply across, and I get 4 out of 56, which is roughly 0.071. Okay? So does everybody see, I do not subtract. I don't go 1 out of 8, 1 out of 7, because it's an OR. Okay, when it's an OR, we don't subtract. When it's AND, when we went to the multiplication, that's when we subtracted. That's when we went from 8 down to 7. Okay, if that confuses you, that's okay. These are a little bit harder problems. Just keep that in mind when you go to do these. I know some of the last ones that we're going to do for homework are a bit more of a challenge, but that's okay. Okay, so here's the homework for the weekend on this lesson. This is page 443. 10.9, and then we'll have our test coming up because it's our last lesson. We'll have a review and then a test. We're going to do 25 through 40 all. Okay, I believe in you guys. You can do it. A lot of this is review from our last lesson. So there we go, 25 through 40 all. Okay, let me know if you have questions. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Mr. H is over and out.